Good morning. A couple of things before I get started. One is that Hoodwinked Goat song is in my descriptions with a link. That's the best one because there's several different ones, some of them in foreign languages or sped up. So in my last video, I put a link for the Be Prepared song from the cartoon movie Hoodwinked. That goat is very trippy. I really get a kick out of it. And thank you for the ones who actually went and had a look at it. It is hilarious. And one of you said you're going to. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. I have to write everything down now. Getting old. What's the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd. Let me think about this a minute. Comments, yes. Oh my gosh. So I'm just getting used to this YouTube studio thing, right? And I don't know how I found it, but I keep losing it. It shows me comments I haven't responded to. I gotta figure out how I find those. Anyway, so last night I did my best. I went back through and it just wouldn't end. The more I answered, I either put a little my picture with a heart, or what was I saying? Or I make a comment. It's rough on my neck, guys. I gotta tell you, I get a really bad neck. I got disc problems. I got vertebrae problems. I got problems. I worked physical labor all my life, and took a toll. So anyway, plus a couple car accidents. You know how that goes. People just don't know how to drive sometimes. Or they just don't care. I don't know. There's a lot of not caring in this world. But on a happier note, what was the happy note? So when I was going through my photos yesterday, boy, it's really hard to organize them. And I wish I understood how to do cloud and all this stuff. I'd really like to take these photos, make them digital. They'd be so much easier to view. And actually get rid of the hard copies. Is that a bad idea? Leave a comment below. So I found this postcard. Try to get it without glare. The title under it is Foolish Swimmers, and they've got lobsters attached to them, which is completely ridiculous. And we were in a little gift shop years ago, and Dennis saw this postcard, and he just thought it was hilarious. He just laughed, and so I bought it for him. And every now and then when we go through pictures, because him and I like to do that, that would come up. I took all the postcards together because I've been to a lot of different places. Are you going to San Francisco? And what's this? I don't have a clue. What does it say? Lookout Point. But where? Big Sky. Is that Montana? I don't know. You tell me. And then, what's this? Ooh, that's so pretty. Sometimes your own photographs can't show the extreme beauty. Yeah, that's Montana too. It must have been ones that just struck me as, Montana's gorgeous. I'm sorry. Even a postcard can't possibly capture what it's like to stand there and see it in person. Oh, what did I do? Get all Montana ones? Rock Creek Canyon. Yeehaw. Oh, the bear tooth. Oh, man. I'm going to tell you something. You want to see what heaven looks like? Go over the Beartooth Pass. It's just the bomb. Colorado wildflowers. So I'm going to tell a story. Because in a lot of the comments, they're like, I love, stories you tell about this or that. I wish you tell more stories. So, okay. The only thing that came to mind was how I found the Milo house. And I might have told this story before, and I'm not sure. I can't go back through 300 videos. Have mercy. Right. So, I was crushed, okay? My mother had died. It was 2006, and the banksters were ramped up to give loans to people that probably shouldn't have had loans. Now, they wanted to give me a loan. I had no claimed income whatsoever. I didn't even have a bank account. So they said to me, does a family member have a checking account? I said, yeah, my son. And he said, get on that and then send me the information. So I says to my son, would you mind sticking me on your checking account? Sure, Mom. My kids are so good to me. Oh my gosh. I have the most amazing sons, you know, in this world of men that have no... There's men out there who use and abuse others for their own personal gain. My boys have such a heart for others, and it just feels so good to know that despite any mistakes I might have made as a mother, they came out choice, you know? So anyway, he puts me on his checking account. Of course, I don't have access to it. It's just a name on an account. And I get a loan. I get a loan with absolutely no income. $250,000 they gave me. Gee, I wonder why the market crashed. And I knew I was getting an inheritance, and I knew approximately what I was getting. Plus, I'd been in a pretty bad car accident, and I was going to get money from that. Oh, what a time that was. It's a lot of sorrow and heartbreak, you know. Losing my mother. Making decisions for my brother Joey, who was disabled. The pressure I felt from one of my brothers who just wanted the money from the house, you know. Take Joey and get out. It's hard to forgive. Sometimes you gotta forgive over and over again and let it go once more. I think it's best with painful things like that to just don't think about them. It's the best way, but in order to tell a story, I got to go back there. And I got to tell you, sometimes it's traumatic. It's so painful emotionally. So I was going to try to get Joey back, which was a major mistake. And I remember this very wise woman from a church I'd been attending. We were out in some sort of festival in a park in Florida. And I told her the situation. And she looked over to Dennis, and man, I don't know if she was a prophetess or what. She said, let it go. Leave it alone. This is going to be too much stress on your family. And she continued to look at my husband like she saw something. Taking care of Joey, he had a lot of issues. It would have taken so much away from Dennis and from my children. I would have started a caretaker then and a caregiver, and that was 2006. 10 years later, Dennis would become ill and probably would have killed me trying to take care of somebody else to the extent that he needed care. He's good now. My oldest brother keeps in touch with him, and I keep in touch with my oldest brother. But back to the story. So I wanted to try to get Joey back. And that was a big mistake, right? But I started looking for houses, and he suggests go to New Hampshire and my lawyer, and we'll start there. So I went up, I flew from Florida to Bangor, Maine. Or was it Portland? Yes, I went to Portland. I'm sorry. From Portland, I rented a car and I went up to Berlin, New Hampshire. That place is too depressing for me. I love it in the summertime. There's lots of nice lakes, and it's the pathway to the mountains, or one of them. Go through Gorham. I just love that area. Gorham, New Hampshire. Are you from New Hampshire? Leave a comment. I love New Hampshire naturally. I was born there, of course. So I go to Berlin, and I'm like, I can't live here. And I couldn't find an affordable house. I knew these houses were so overpriced, and I had a price point in mind. So I'm in this crappy little hotel room because I'm trying to save every dollar and not spend too much. Dennis was so good to send me and let me go on my own. And I couldn't find anything, and I started, we had lived in Whitefield, New Hampshire, so I was looking in Jefferson, New Hampshire, and, Littleton, New Hampshire, and so it's like 4 a.m, I'm starting to get sick. I had bought some, of that saline, that Simply Saline. It has like this jet sprayer, and I was like flushing out my nostrils, and I was taking airborne, and I was praying. I mean, I was heavy into it, okay? I was reading my Bible, I was praying, I put the TV on, and there's Joyce Myers, right? And I didn't really, I wasn't a fan or anything, but I stopped to listen because she was hitting a note, something. She's like, when all hope is lost, and it looks like the situation just can't work out, and it should, that's when you've got to try even harder. Take a step, make a move. So I packed all my things into my suitcase, got into that rental car. But before I did that, on the bottom of my suitcase, because I was like, I always have to reorganize stuff. I know it doesn't look like that. This is going to be taken care of, but because I'm a very organized person, I swear. Of course, I've gotten older and tireder and hurter, and so, sometimes it's just like, But, right. So I'm repacking, and I'm like, wow, these are printouts of property that I was looking at off of Zillow way back when in Florida. And I just shoved them in my suitcase, I guess. Forgot about them. And there was this listing for a house in Sangerville. Was it Sangerville, Maine? For $99,000. And I says, okay, God, I'm going to step out and I'm going to do this one last try. And I get to Sangerville hours later. It was about 2.5 hours. And it was not the house. It needed so much work. It should have been $20,000, and eventually it was after the crash. And I said, no, this isn't for me. This is all wrong. And so I said, tell me where to go, God. So I'm driving down the road after I go see that house, and I see a sign, and I'm looking at my maps, because back then I didn't have a cell phone that had GPS, and I don't, did they have that in 2006, 2000? I do believe it was December 2006 after my mother had died in July. And I wanted to get back up to New England. So I says, I'm going this way. I like the sound of the names of the town. I'm going to go that way. And I went from Sangerville to Guilford, Maine, into Abbott. No, it wasn't Abbott. Guilford, and then Dover, Foxcroft, Maine. And I saw a realtor on the right-hand side as I drove into town, and I said, I'm going to go see what she has for listings. And she gave me about 5 listings in my price range. And I was heading for Brownville. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to check this one out. Brownville is a lot like Berlin, New Hampshire, and I never made it there. This is what happened. I was trying to get to one town and stumbled into another. And I'm like, I went the wrong way. Because I was supposed to be going the other way, because I thought I was going to Abbott, I think is where I wanted to go. So I went the opposite way, and I end up in the little tiny town of Milo. So I'm going through the things, and I see this one on Highland. Okay, I'm in Milo, might as well go find this Highland, right? And I start driving, trying to follow the map. And I see this house with a for sale sign, and I don't have that listing. It looked so pretty. It was December, and there was a little post office, just an old-timey one. And next to it, they had these little lighted deer and just a little Christmas scene. And it was getting to be dusk. And oh, it had the ambiance of a forgotten era. And I drove into that long driveway, and I was facing a big red barn. And I looked at the house, and the porch, it reminded me of my grandmother. It reminded me of my childhood. It reminded me of a better time when people were kind and good and cared about each other. And I thought, I could never afford this house. I love this house. This is my house. I just knew it. I knew it. And it was all because I went down the wrong road that I found this, but it wasn't the wrong road at all, was it? So I called the number on the sign and I said, hey, I have 1 day left and it's almost over. I'm in front of this house that you have listed. Is there any way? I'll be right over, she says. And she comes over, and I'm not going to use names, but it was great. She opened that door from the porch into the kitchen, and the vibes that I felt were so amazing. There was so much love and goodness and happiness in the vibrations and energy of that room. I would find out later that the woman who lived there, people, all they had to say about her were the kindest and most wonderful things. Oh, I remember Barbara. She had done this for me. I remember Barbara. She was so kind and loved the children. And I got to live in her house. So I went with the, I says, I'd like to make an offer. I went back with her to the realty office, and she stayed. It was well past 5. I think we were going on 6:30. She was calling the owner, and we were dickering back and forth. And finally, we agreed to... What did we agree to? 58, maybe? And then, because of all the fees and stuff, the loan was going to be $66,000. I was where I wanted to be financially. And I was scared because I did this without Dennis's permission. I had tried to call him, and Dennis was always, no. So I put contingencies that I wanted an inspector in to look at things, and don't ever do generic inspectors. They miss everything. What I needed to do was get an electrician to look at the electric. I needed a plumber to look at the plumbing. I needed a roofer to look at the roof, etc. And but I had a contingency, and I felt comfortable with that. And this part makes me a little sad because I'm estranged from Dennis's family. And I was very close to one of his sisters, and I thought I was anyway. Boy, when the chips are down, you really find out who's in your dugout. You know what I'm saying? Who's pitching for you, who's batting for you. But at that time, I called her. I was going down the highway, and I wasn't sure where I was going that night. I guess I was going to head back to Portland. I had the pictures in my hand of the house. I had the listing, and this fear came over me. I just felt afraid suddenly, and so I called his sister that I was close to, and I said, I just did this, and I feel really freaked out. She said, why don't you come over here and spend the night? She was only half hour from Portland. And I said, I'd really appreciate that. I just need to talk to someone. I'd like to show you the listing and what I bought. And she was so supportive and so helpful. Yeah. So I went to her house, and she was so elated and excited, and I felt better about calling Dennis and talking to him about it, and he was kind of freaked out, and I had made the decision, and he was going to be paying for that decision. But I wanted to get Bonnie, who was only 7 years old, out of the area of Florida we were in. So many horrible things were happening at that time, and the area we lived was not the area it is today. It's improved greatly due to the high cost of living. People come in, they take over homes, they fix them up, they change the atmosphere, but there's a lot of problems with Florida, you know. It really, you got to be careful. A lot of the area isn't made for families, and you got to beware. Anyway, so I flew back home after that, and we were going to go live in a house. We closed on it, and it was February of 2007. Or was it March? Let me think about this. Oh, I couldn't wait to get up there and get started on that house. It needed, things, painting. It needed fixing. Some of the walls weren't right. And we went up there. I think it was just, winter was just leaving and spring was there. So I'd imagine, I just can't remember what month it was we went up there. But it was me, Dennis, and Bonnie. The two boys stayed behind in a trailer we owned in a park back then in Port Richey, Florida. So we were freaked. When Dennis, Bonnie, and I drove in, we drove all the way from Florida up to Maine. We drove into the driveway. It was so quiet. We were used to Florida, the noise, the sirens, the cars, the everything. And it was foreign. You know what I'm saying? It was foreign. This is a long video because I'm telling a story. And we went the next day. We slept there. We had mattresses with us that we also got from that sister that was close to us. We bought them from her. She had just closed down a nursing home she'd been running. And we had dragged the mattresses in. We slept on the floor that night, and we were just freaked out. So we went out to lunch to this little convenience store. And when we were checking out, we talked to her about it. We think we made a mistake. And, we're talking to her about our decision, where we came from. And she said, "You're going to love it." She said, "It's a shock at first, but give it some time. You're just going to love it." And I did. I really loved that laid back, quiet way of life. And every time we'd have to go down into the city for whatever reason, we'd go to New Hampshire to see my mother or what have you, or family. And as soon as I hit Waterville and I passed it, and it was just quiet, lonely highway, I'd be like, I'm so glad I made that choice. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I miss that house. It was one of the better houses I've ever had. My daughter thought it was creepy, and my daughter-in-law Maggie thought it was creepy because, it was old and it was weird. The rooms intertwined into each other and doorways to nowhere, and it was just a house full of history and full of love, and I knew that. And Dennis and I really enjoyed that place. I don't think I regret selling it because the woman who got it, we remained friends for quite a while. She is a cancer survivor, and that was her dream house. So it went from Barbara's dream house to my dream house to Joy's dream house. And someday I'm going to find my dream. I don't know if it's a house. I don't know what it is. But I want to say to you guys, I trust God who has my back. He's had my back all along, even when I turned my back to Him. I just feel like if God's for me, what or who can possibly be against me? Doesn't matter. I'm going to overcome. Again, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. You're going to see a lot more videos today because I'm hot on it, and it's helping my algorithm, and I'm adding subscribers. And thank you. If I haven't gotten to your comment, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to try. Give me some time. The old videos, they don't pop up for notifications. I don't see any comments, so I have to go into the studio and find them. And I'm still getting used to that thing. I am technologically disadvantaged, but I'm trying. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.